Hello and welcome to We Could Do It Better with Grant Koven and Jonah Maple. We are excited. We have a packed episode for you today. A lot has happened this week that we're excited to talk about. There's been some movies, some movie trailers that are happening, some TV that's come out.
Oh, yeah.
All right.
Sorry, guys. We ran into a bit of a little technical difficulty just for a second. Grant forgot the memory card. Yeah. But everything is good now. We were just... It's been a busy day. It's been a really busy day, and we're kind of all over the place. But we're good. We're here, and we've got so much to talk about. Like, we had to axe our main event today because we've got too much in our Multiverse of Movies, Game Over, Change the Channel. Like, it's going to be a packed day. Packed hour, I guess I should say. But we just need to get right into it, right?
Yeah. There's been a lot of nerd news this week. First off, I think the thing that we, in terms of like future projects that came out this week that we're most excited about, the Thunderbolts * trailer came out.
Okay, and I want to talk about first of all, trailer was so cool.
It was great. It looks amazing. All of the action.
It feels like Marvel is breaking away from the formula that I feel like some people had called it for a while. Like, this doesn't look like your regular Marvel movie that we've seen really ever. Like, I feel like we're getting very now into the deep government political side of Marvel because there's still, with Captain America Brave New World on the horizon, and now with Thunderbolts, there's a lot of corruption, government, scum type stuff. So I'm here for it. I think this is a breath of fresh air for all of us.
Well, yeah, and kind of exploring these different genres, these different genres within superhero media is something that I think that I've liked more than a lot of people about Phase 4 and Phase 5 since the end of the Infinity Saga.
Now, I would like to address the asterisk.
Yes.
For a second. Because it's been so weird, and people have been wondering, what's with the asterisk? Like, we've never had an asterisk in... I actually can't remember the last time there was an asterisk in a movie ever.
Right? That's kind of weird. A lot of people have been thinking in my mind, does it mean that they're gonna like change the name of the movie to Dark Avengers? Dark Avengers?
I do think that's what I think. If I'm gonna just give my little theory, is they call it the Thunderbolts after what I only can be assumed after General Ross Thunderbolt.
Yeah.
Right. So I think we're probably gonna see maybe Harrison Ford in the movie. Like, you can't really call it the Thunderbolts without having him at least referenced. But it'll be really interesting to see how Brave New World will tie into this movie, because there's gonna be themes. I mean, when you've got Isaiah Bradley, who seems to be under Winter Soldier brainwashing stuff, and now you've got the actual Winter Soldier showing up just a couple months later, it very much looks like these two movies specifically are going to be really connected. But I do think the Thunderbolts will change their name to the Dark Avengers, because one of the taglines for the movie is "Careful who you assemble."
Yeah. And
that just seems like a dead giveaway to the Dark Avengers.
Yeah, an Avengers Assemble, and the premise for the team seems more in line with Dark Avengers for reasons that we're gonna get into in a minute. Because the Thunderbolts usually aren't just a government operative, but that's what the Dark Avengers. The Dark Avengers were a government operative. So if you've seen the trailer or if not, one thing that I'm excited for is it's taking a lot of characters that the audience from different projects of the MCU and kind of bringing them all together.
It kind of merges and unites all of these projects, especially post Endgame.
Yeah, and really the only person from pre-Infinity War that we're seeing that's in the trailer is Bucky Barnes.
Right. Because Ghost was introduced between Infinity War and Endgame.
Yeah. So there's Yelena Belova, played by Florence Pugh, Bucky Barnes, the Winter Soldier, played by Sebastian Stan. There's Ghost from Ant-Man and the Wasp, played by Hannah John Kamen. Alexei Redgarden, played by David Harbour, which, what a fun character.
When I saw him in Stranger Things, and then seeing him take on, because like he's a very different, like Hopper from Stranger Things is a very different person than Alexei, and he plays like the big, not necessarily dumb, but just like he's just this big. You kind of want to go up and give him a hug. You know?
Yeah.
Yes, he's done horrible things for the Russian government, but like he just seems like a giant teddy bear.
Yeah, he's the guy.
But yeah, no, it's a stacked cast for sure. They've all got amazing costumes.
Oh yeah. And yeah. As well as the John Walker U.S. agent costume.
I love his shield. I love how the shield is like tattered and worn
and the
down.
costume too.
And the costume, it looks just like U.S. agent from the source material. So like everyone is coming in with fresh new looks. And it's amazing. And
there's a new character that we don't know the name of. Well, actually, two. The first one, just someone that we know, an actor that we know is going to be in this, we've known for a while is going to be in this movie, Geraldine Viswanathan, and she's amazing. If you haven't seen Miracle Workers, she's an amazing actor. There's a couple other movies that she's done. But I'm really excited for that, to see her in the MCU. But my biggest thing.
This was really funny.
Is there's a character named Bob, which I guess spoilers for a movie that hasn't come out yet.
You texted me back when it first dropped.
Just the name Bob.
Just the Bob, and you're like, Grant, don't look up any trailer breakdowns until the show. And
I don't know why.
For some reason, you thought that, Bob just would go over my head when I've had my face shoved in Marvel news for the past, I don't even know how long. But like, of course I knew Bob was Sentry. Like I heard about all the casting rumors, because there was one actor, he was really famous in The Walking Dead, and he dropped out. He was initially going to play Sentry. Oh,
I didn't know that Sentry was like confirmed for this.
Oh yeah, I had known that Sentry was going to be here for a while. But even if I didn't know Sentry wasn't going to be in this, Bob would have made me realize, like, okay, he looks more powerful than what he's showing us right now.
Yeah. Oh, I feel like we probably should say who Sentry is.
We haven't even mentioned who Bob is.
The Sentry is one of Marvel's Superman pastiches. They have like 4 or 5 of them.
But I'd sweep Superman by. No, I'm kidding. I'm just trying to make Jonah mad.
But I think the Sentry is the most effective one. I think it's the most interesting one. Well,
I heard the premise is like he's there to kill the Thunderbolts, essentially. He's a government project designed to kill the Thunderbolts because they keep doing shady stuff. And they are worried that they're going to take it too far and expose corruption within the United States government.
Interesting.
Yeah.
I kind of assumed it was the other way around, that like the government sent the Thunderbolts to kill Bob Reynolds, because
I might have had my story mixed up. You might be right, because I heard it's supposed to play out kind of like the Suicide Squad. Like I've heard that there are people who will not walk out of here alive.
Yeah, and I think that sticks to the premise of Thunderbolts Dark Avengers pretty well, because both of those groups are inspired by the Suicide Squad.
Yeah.
Or like specifically the John Ostrander version from the 90s. But more about the Sentry, Superman pastiche was, I think, one of the best. It was a character created in 2000 when Marvel was where they were trying a lot of stuff.
They were pushing out everything.
They were doing part of the Marvel Knights line. It was like a character who was Superman, had the strength of 1,000 exploding suns or a million exploding suns. But I'm gonna try not to spoil the whole series. the whole.
In case you want to go study up on Sentry, by the way.
It's pretty good.
The art looks really cool.
Yeah, and it's a good series. But it was someone who was Superman and was like there since the beginning, was like the best man at, or Reed Richards was like the best man at his wedding. Mm-hmm. And then for some reason, which I'm not gonna say, they had to make the world forget that he was the Sentry. So it's like this superhero that like everyone forgot about, and there's a huge marketing, and it's just so cool. But we do have a very packed episode today, and we do have to go
I do have breaking news, by the way. Batman just got his star on the Hollywood Walk of Fame.
Oh, yeah. I heard that was happening.
Yeah. James Gunn just posted it to his Instagram. So cool. Congratulations to Batman for getting his very well-deserved star on the Hollywood Walk of Fame. This isn't necessarily pertaining to superheroes. It kind of does. But Ryan Coogler, who did both Black Panther movies, just released a trailer yesterday. I think it was yesterday, for a new horror movie called Sinners. And it's about, well, I'll just read you the premise. So, trying to leave their troubled lives behind, twin brothers return to their hometown to start again, only to discover that an even greater evil is waiting to welcome them back. And I've heard that it's one of the taglines is like, be careful who you dance with. And it shows like Michael B. Jordan, not Chicago Bulls. Michael B. Jordan is going to be playing twins.
Huh. That's cool.
One is going to be, more normal and nice, and one, from what I've seen, looks like he's going to be a vampire.
That's cool. I like, interesting horror movies. I think there's been like a lot of stuff, we've said this before, a lot of stuff for the past decade that's been in this year too. It's been interesting. I like Ryan Coogler, love Michael B. Jordan. I think he's great.
So you guys should definitely go check out the trailer because it looks amazing. I mean, Coogler, it very much felt very Jordan Peele-like.
Okay.
Just because they're both so good at like not necessarily your typical slasher movie. This isn't going to play out like a typical slasher. It's going to be very psychologically. It gave a lot of Jordan Peele vibes, and I'm so here for it.
Yeah.
But yeah. Anyways, that's kind of what Ryan Coogler's been up to. He hasn't. I heard that he was supposedly going to be doing some stuff with Marvel still, but it looks like he's doing a vampire movie in the meantime. But yeah, you want to.
So there's gonna be a companion album to Joker Flu. I don't know how to pronounce that.
Folie à Deux.
Folie à Deux.
Yeah. Or if you just want to say Madness for Two, you can say that too.
I don't know the thing about French. The Indiana in me comes out so much when I try to pronounce anything in French.
Folie à Deux.
But yeah, it's gonna be released.
I heard the show before us was talking about it too.
Oh, cool.
Yeah. But yeah, Lady Gaga. I don't know. I mean, I know Lady Gaga is gonna be singing in this, and I'm not really sure what a companion album. I don't know if it's gonna be like her singing about the events of what happened in Joker Folie à Deux. I don't know like how much crossover there's gonna be, but I'll listen to that. I'm not usually a Lady Gaga listener, but I'll give it a shot. But then you put something else down underneath our little.
We'll talk about that next week.
Next week, okay.
Next week is going to be our big Joker episode. We're going to be talking about our favorite Joker comics, what we love about the character.
I will be wearing a full face of Joker makeup.
I will not because I have have classes before this.
I thought you were going to say you have dignity.
Yeah, I also don't want to like wear Joker. Like I'm not against makeup.
It's not like I'm gonna be like walking around to my classes in Joker makeup. I'm gonna go do it before the show starts in the bathroom right across the hall.
Okay. We have casting announcement. The second casting announcements from Supergirl Woman of Tomorrow, which is going to be releasing in the summer 2026.
You just brought up his image, but I need to look at this guy again. Keep going.
It's based off the Tom King Billiquist Everly comic. It's directed by Craig Gillespie from I, Tonya. We already know who's going to be playing Supergirl, Millie Alcock, but now we have the villain of the movie, Crim of the Yellow Hills, which is just how do I put this?
He's a monster.
Yeah, I was thinking of a way to put it in which the FCC wouldn't get mad at us.
He's a monster. He's a doo-doo head.
He, at the beginning, he shoots Crypto, everyone's favorite boy, with a bow and arrow, with like poison. It's just like the worst guy you can think of. And part of what makes that one of the million things that make that comic so perfect. So we have that. We have a casting announcement that it's great to hear more things that this movie is actually happening.
Yeah,
like even just
it's very promising.
Even just seeing like the title like being put on like an IMDb page, Supergirl One of Tomorrow. I'm like, oh my gosh, it feels like a dream come true.
Yeah. Anyways, Deadpool and Wolverine hits Disney Plus on October 1st. In case y'all didn't know, but again, I'm the one obsessed with anything Deadpool, so of course I'm going to talk about Deadpool as much as possible. But it'll hit Disney Plus on October 1st, and then Blu-ray on October 22nd. And it's got a steelbook, and I feel like with me, because you've seen my bedroom desk at Varsity House, like I've got a small Deadpool shrine, so I feel like I need to get the steelbook.
You have like 6 Deadpool action figures.
Well, no, they're Funko Pops. I've got like 8 Funko Pops. I've got the talking head. I've got like little whiskey glasses.
Yeah.
Too. And the magazine when Entertainment did a piece on them. So I've got all that hanging up, and I just feel like a steelbook would be like the cherry on top. Yeah. Because I'm gonna watch that all the time. But on the topic of Deadpool and Wolverine, according to Variety, Deadpool and Wolverine are gunning for Oscar nominations, and Ryan Reynolds, they're pushing for Ryan Reynolds to be nominated for lead actor.
Okay.
Hugh Jackman as supporting actor.
Yeah.
And I quote, "As far as Oscar attention, Deadpool and Wolverine will also aim for nominations in technical categories, including production design, sound, and visual effects." End quote. And I looked at your face, and people who will watch this saw his face, and clearly I don't think he doesn't think that Jackman or Reynolds deserve these Oscar nominations, and I am going to tell you straight to your face, while everyone is entitled to their own opinions, I have never seen you more wrong in my entire life.
I could see it winning for production design and like visual effects, because I think there's some great visual effects in the movie, great production design. I don't know the first thing about acting, but like I don't know.
Here's what I feel like. Nearly every single person who like wins for lead or supporting actor or actress, it's only in serious roles. I could be wrong, but I can't remember the last time I saw a like from a film like a person win
from a comedy movie.
A comedy standpoint. I can't remember last time, because people love the drama. People love seeing the deep and complex emotions. But like Wolverine and Deadpool still had that.
I
think Hugh Jackman definitely, because like Ryan Reynolds, he nails every part of Deadpool, and I get why the Academy wouldn't be so inclined to necessarily bestow lead actor to Ryan Reynolds. But Hugh Jackman is kind of different.
I think that the Academy is too pretentious.
So I wish we could vote for this, because like they would have my vote immediately. And like the visual effects, like come on, the visual effects were amazing, because we saw some pretty cruddy visual effects before in previous Marvel movies.
Yeah, and some great ones.
I'm not gonna discount anything from the past, but like we have had a lot of cruddy movie effects before, and like usually how I define good visual effects is me sitting in a theater and thinking, oh yeah, that's totally real, while it's definitely not. But yeah, no. So, hopefully Deadpool and Wolverine can pull off some Oscar stuff. But
yeah.
Anyways, we're actually doing really well on time, by the way.
Yeah.
We're doing, this is going well. Do you want to talk about Ballerina? I
haven't seen the John Wick. We watched the trailer before this. I haven't seen the John Wick movies. You have.
Yeah.
I was very excited just looking at that trailer.
Yeah.
Because I like Ana de Armas, and I think that would be a role that fits her a lot.
Well, like it's pretty cool because, like, I don't even know her name. I should have done my research before, but like I'm just gonna call her the ballerina. But like the ballerina, she's essentially, and I'm gonna say, this is the treatment Black Widow should have gotten before Infinity War and Endgame. This is the type of feeling where she should have been portrayed as that. And not, like, I'm not discounting what we saw from the Black Widow movie after Endgame, but she's so cool. We kept saying, she's so cool. The ballerina is so cool. And we even got a small glimpse at Keanu Reeves reprising his role as John Wick. So it'll be interesting to see where on the timeline this goes. Because, spoiler alert, at the end of John Wick, he supposedly dies. That's kind of still up in the air. A lot of people think we're going to get another John Wick movie, and he can't really ever die. But yes, it does look really cool. And the trailer was accompanied to Elton John's Tiny Dancer, which is hilarious because it's called Ballerina. But yeah, I'm just going to blow through our next portion because this is actually pretty important. So I copied and pasted this long paragraph I saw on Cinema Blend, but essentially Sony is not changing. Sony and Marvel are negotiating more about the terms on how their characters are allowed to be used. And for the past couple of movies, we were certain that any movie or any character that Sony had used in any movies prior to now were not allowed to show up in any future Spider-Man movies. But it sounds like that might be changing. It sounds like they might, because Sony is kind of being scummy and using Spider-Man as leverage to get the most money out of Marvel as possible. But if I want to summarize this down to, a small little talking point, it's that Sony might be starting to make the right moves after all. And you might be able to see characters like Koven and Venom and whoever else that has appeared, Madam Web even, if that's what you're here for. But it does sound like, hopefully, fingers crossed, Sony makes the right move and we can maybe see a Last Hunt in the future. I don't know. I know you shrug your shoulder.
Well, I'm not.
I know you're not a
particularly huge Koven fan. Like nothing against him. It's just like that's not like the era of comics I've read for Spider-Man.
Sure, of course.
But yeah, I'm excited to see that they seem to be trying to work it out more, so we can see more of that character in mainstream.
Yeah.
All right, we're gonna move on to Don't Change the Channel. We're gonna be talking about TV, and there's a lot of stuff.
There's a lot of
happening
good stuff. We should probably talk about the Penguin first.
Yes,
that's something that we watched. I watched it over the weekend.
I watched it as soon as it aired.
Yeah, well, I have a bedtime, and Grant needs his sleep. But it was again, it nailed the Batman vibe. It felt like it was taking place in the same universe. I mean, Matt Reeves is a genius. I don't want him to ever leave the Batman stuff ever.
Yeah,
I would love to see this play out for the next 20 years if I could.
Yeah,
I know we're not. Probably not.
It surprised me how much it was like The Sopranos. I'm not using that as an insult, saying there's like copying off, but like it's like
The Sopranos with one guy.
Well, that's what The Sopranos is.
I haven't seen The Sopranos.
Okay, but there's a lot of references to that. It's kind of following the Penguin. We're gonna do spoilers ahead, but it's a TV show, and it dropped like a week ago. And it's just one episode. So if you don't want to watch because of spoilers, you don't have to. But
it's so good.
First
of all, I need to talk about what I had my favorite moments.
Yes.
And we got a penguin wobble, and we maybe briefly saw it in the Batman, but he has a wobble just like a penguin.
Yeah. From a limp, from a deformation that he has on his leg. I think that's very cool.
I think that's awesome. He wears purple, just like his comic accurate, comic character.
Yeah.
he didn't have to do that, but he did. Like, it just shows that he cares so much about this character and where he's come from, and it's amazing. And then his car. His car is freaking cool. Like,
oh yeah.
But it's amazing.
What sold me on this show? Not that I wasn't gonna watch anything,
right?
But I was like, okay, because like I don't particularly love like shows about like or like books or comics about like
deep crime.
Well, I do love that, but about just an absolute terrible person. That's never my thing. For instance, I don't read Slade Wilson. Just like as
right.
like a general rule.
Yeah, no, you despise him.
But there's the scene.
Slade Wilson is Deathstroke, by the way, in case nobody.
Yeah, knows. There was a scene where the Penguin was like talking about this old school gangster on his block when he was a kid, about how like everyone loved him, about how he was like kind of and how he helped people out, and they threw a parade for him when he died. And like he was talking about to Alberto Falcone about how he wanted to be that kind, how he wanted to bring that back.
Yeah.
And how much of that is like a grift and how much of that is true, that's up for debate. And then Alberto Falcone just starts laughing at him, just starts laughing at Colin Farrell, the Penguin. And I'm like, and then Penguin just pulls out the gun and shoots him.
It changes the mood throughout the rest of the entire episode. Like, it was going for one thing, and then after that, you're like, oh.
And that's what the show immediately becomes about. Like,
right.
10 minutes in, you're like, okay, this entire show is about him dealing with that. And it's so great because I personally love my favorite type of villain, and I think this is something that why am I forgetting the name of the Batman director?
Matt Reeves.
Matt Reeves has done before and does a lot. He did this in The Riddler, and he did that with many of the villains in his Planet of the Apes movies. Is a villain that is very calculating, has a plan, has a decent plan, is very smart, but also if you make fun of him, if you make him think that he's lesser than, he'll just go crazy and he loses it.
But also at the same time, what I admire about this is that he's not 100% calculating it all.
Yeah.
He screws up. He makes mistakes and he suffers for it. There is a part where he is kidnapped by Sophia. Yeah. And and
he thinks he's gonna.
There's this horribly graphic scene where they get some messed up wire and they start like hurting him. That's the nicest thing I can say while the FCC is listening to me is they start hurting him with frayed wire, and it made me squirm. But like, yet also at the same time, he's got contingency plans. He's got people to count on, and that ultimately at the end of the day is like what made me be like, wow, this is so good, because he's not going to have it figured out right away. He's not going to automatically have the knowledge and how to deal with every single situation that comes with being the next kingpin of Gotham City. So I appreciate them spotlighting his shortcomings.
Yeah, and I love it. I also love the relationship between Victor Aguilar, played played by Renzi Feliz. Hopefully, I'm pronouncing that right. Just the first interaction where Oswald Cobblepot, Oscobb, whatever.
Oscobb
sees him like trying to jack cars off of the Batmobile,
which will not be a Red Hood tie-in, hopefully.
Well, but that's exactly what happened to one of the Robins in the comics, and then Batman, took him in, and bad stuff happened to him, but like the idea is that Batman stopped him from a life of crime living out on the street, and
so none of those children will grow up to be Red Hood.
Hopefully,
because Batman didn't step in.
But I think that's very interesting to see where this character goes as the Penguin.
Because Matt Reeves did that on purpose.
Yeah, or
he had to have.
Well,
that's too specific of a crime.
or not probably not Matt Reeves. Matt Reeves isn't the main director. It's Craig Zobor.
But this is his universe.
Yeah,
this is Matt Reeves'
yeah.
universe.
The people who made this, that's a specific thing. The Penguin taking someone under the wing. That's so great. Kristen Melody, I did a great job as Sophia Falcone, playing once again that someone who has real problems, has stuff under control,
Jonah.
but at the break of a finger could shoot someone, could lose it, and I think that's very interesting. That's my favorite type of villain, and I'm excited to see more of that.
Up next, I think we should do Agatha, unless you've got any more talking points about
I don't. I'm just saying I'm excited. We're gonna see this again. We're gonna see episode 2 tonight.
I'm excited. It'll be interesting to see where
if it
takes off.
If you like, I will say, if you like this, you should see The Sopranos. If you've seen The Sopranos and you like that,
it's better
you should
than
watch
Sopranos.
This. I mean, you haven't seen The Sopranos.
I'm biased.
You haven't seen The Sopranos.
I'm biased, Jonah.
Okay.
You potty mouth.
We saw Agatha All Along. Agatha All Along episode 3 came out last night. We both saw it.
You start.
I think it kept up to the high quality. It was very cool to see all of the characters interact.
The first trial was scary. I knew that the wine was gonna be poisoned, and they were gonna have to figure out something. The wine.
Spoiler.
Right. I mean, if you're sorry, I should have prefaced this with a spoiler alert, but we are talking about a lot of TV shows right now. So if you're tuning in, I'm sorry if you're just passing by in the hall and you just happen to hear a Agatha or Penguin spoiler, but I mean, you chose to be here. But yes. The premise of Agatha, for those who just are kind of casual listeners and don't really care, we get the witch's coven, and they're walking down the road, and it leads them into this very nice beach house, and there's wine on the table. They drink the wine. They find out it's been poisoned by some super mystical. It's got all these graphic and awful side effects, and if they don't make an antidote in 30 minutes, they're all gonna die. So it's very cool because it explores how these people do under pressure.
Yeah, I think that's very interesting. Kind of like a different take on a bottle episode is nice.
But then we're left with the ultimate cliffhanger at the end, and Sharon or Mrs. Hart is dead.
Yeah.
She dies from the poisoning. We thought it was going to be a buzzer beater, where because they make the antidote, all the other witches are safe, but
because it's not even like a season finale or anything,
right? And it just goes to show, and I think everyone could tell that Sharon definitely didn't belong there from the beginning. It's clear that Agatha just went out and found the first willing woman to become the Green Witch. But yeah, I mean, it'll be interesting to see how, or if we get another Green Witch to replace her, because that's what they called her, right? The Green Witch.
And I think I assume that's what the character Vio is going to be.
Yeah.
But I love this. I love this episode to see more of these characters interact and get to know each other and bounce through personalities.
We had no Rio. In this
no Rio, which was missing that, but I think we're supposed to.
We need a break.
And it was really nice to see, because all of these characters are distinctly different. Because I think for a lot of shows, especially if they're all witches, a lot a lesser writer would kind of default them all as the same personality. But to see all of these actors and all of these characters interact was great.
Yeah.
Especially to see Billy, I think that was great. Mm-hmm. There is one thing that we do have to mention
obviously.
that could have potentially big impacts across the MCU.
I would like to preface this real quickly. You can of course say what happened, but back when it was 2019 when WandaVision first came out, right?
Yeah.
We would call each other after every episode of WandaVision and debrief, and we have brought up Mephisto, the devil from devil-ish. He Jonah will make these arguments about how Mephisto's...
No, it's fact. He's not the devil. He's an alien from a different dimension who pretends to be the devil.
He looks like a devil. Yes, if he looks like a devil and acts like a devil, he's probably a devil, Jonah.
He is one of...
Peter Parker made a deal with Mephisto. He made a deal with the devil.
But he's not an actual devil.
He made a deal with Mephisto.
He's one of like 4 different Marvel characters who pretends to be the devil.
He walks like a devil. He acts like a devil. He talks like a devil. Jonah, he's a devil.
Yeah, but he doesn't like predate like the satanic myths. Like people just like... Anyway, they name dropped Mephisto.
Which had us all freaking out.
And I was like, that's so cool. Because they already did like a couple Mephisto storylines. But it's like, maybe he existed, and maybe we can blame him for something.
Which this totally confirmed the fact that Mephisto does indeed exist within the MCU.
Also, I will say, just to confirm, could be... never mind. Just he's not the actual devil. But
agree to disagree. Sorry, we got really heated about that for a second. My dad texted me, and with the wide eyes emoji, because he saw that we were getting heated about that. But anyways, we're gonna agree to disagree.
Okay.
Even if you've got your dumb facts, I really do think he's pretty much a devil.
Yeah. He takes the role of a devil.
Yeah. But aside from Mephisto, we did further get to understand. I think Agatha All Along is proving my point very well about how the bunny is definitely Nicholas Scratch, because it was Jen that was talking about how she sacrificed her son to the Darkhold. She might be a demon, or they might be a demon, or something, or transfigured, cursed, something like that. I'm like, they definitely turned Nicholas Scratch into a bunny. I feel like this is like going to be a dead giveaway, and I cannot wait for the day that I am proved right, because I feel it in my bones that Nicholas... I mean, it's a bunny. Bunnies can scratch people. At least mean bunnies can. Mean bunnies can scratch people. But yeah, I feel like that would be... that's an acceptable curse, being turned into a bunny, right?
Yeah. Sure. The long history of...
Better than being turned into a frog, right?
Yeah. People being turned into animals by witches. For future television shows, we have 2 big announcements. We have we officially have Hal Jordan for the Lantern show.
You're not a fan of this one.
I'm okay with it. He's a fine actor. I haven't, but he's okay. Kyle Chandler is officially cast as Hal Jordan. This was reported by Deadline and then later confirmed by DC or DC Warner Brothers. Which I it's fine. I think it's weird. Okay, I think it's weird that they're getting a 59-year-old to play Hal Jordan, and how.
But they said that they were hoping for an older Hal Jordan too.
Yeah, which I think they can do interesting things with. I just hope that this doesn't mean that they cast a bunch of old actors in the future.
I think that this is fine, because if we get a Jon Stewart, Guy Gardner, that really...
Well, Guy Gardner also cast by young first.
Okay, but at least a Jon Stewart. We're going to have probably a Hal Jordan and Jon Stewart, and he can almost prove as like a mentor type figure, which I'm fine with. I think that's I would totally be fine. I mean, Jon Stewart was my Green Lantern during Justice League Unlimited, so I'm totally fine with that.
Yeah, and I'm also fine if Hal Jordan dies.
Me too.
I don't mean to like be brash.
You've said it before. He's good as a corpse, right? Or Parallax. Right?
I like Green Lantern. Like the concept, the brand. I've read a lot of Green Lantern comics. Most of them haven't been as I've read some, but I haven't been as with Hal Jordan as the main character. I'm a really big fan of Simon Baz and Jessica Cruz. I obviously from the show I like Jon Stewart. From the Grant Morrison run. I like Kyle Rayner.
Yeah.
But just Hal Jordan is, I think is an interesting character, but it's not one that I have a personal connection with. And since there are like 8 other Earthbound Green Lanterns. I don't think we necessarily. I think it'd be okay if like how Jonah dies or like retires or anything like that. I just hope that we don't have a bunch of really old actors cast in the future.
Anyways, we got to move on because we still have a lot of stuff to cover. But today is the Last of Us Day, which, by the way, if you've played the games or seen the show, this is the day where the cordyceps virus breaks out and starts infecting all these people, and the zombie apocalypse really starts to take over. Which, by the way, I did find out not too long ago that cordyceps is an actual fungus that behaves very similar to like the show, which is horrifying. If that, under the right conditions, we all have a virus-related or fungus-related zombie apocalypse someday. But anyways, we got a Season 2 trailer, and I can't really say too much about it. But The Last of Us Season 2 will adapt the PlayStation hit version of The Last of Us Part 2. There are some new faces and some old. We've got Catherine O'Hara, who's set to play Joel's therapist, which will be really interesting to see how he's able. Like, I'm going to not spoil anything for you because you just mentioned to me earlier that you have every intention of watching The Last of Us. But I am aware. I've played the first game. I'm currently the second game is on my wish list. But the second game is very sad and brutal, and I already know kind of how it ends, but I still would very much like to play it through, but it's really freaking sad. But also, yeah, so that's kind of it. It's going to really explore how people have adapted to the zombies. Like, it's going to be like a days past type season, because The Last of Us Season 1 or Part 1 really deals with the initial outbreak. And yes, a little bit of time has passed. I think it was like maybe 5-ish years, if I'm recollecting that right. But it's been a while. It'll be even more time after the apocalypse. There are still zombies on the loose and still infection to be happened. But yeah, so next we're going to briefly go through my game over section. This is where and Jonah can probably interject too, but this is really my realm of expertise. But the bye 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 emote from Fortnite dropped on Monday, which is based off of this was very much taken from the Deadpool and Wolverine movie. Yeah. And I would love to report that I got a Crown Royale this morning before school, and I hit that bye 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 emote with my Deadpool skin on the poor sucker down below as I was shooting him with my repulsor blasts, because that's what Fortnite has come to now, is you can be Deadpool flying around in a War Machine jetpack blasting people with repulsor blasts, and then after you win you can hit the bye 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 emote.
I think I understood most of that.
Yeah. So everyone lost their minds. I mean, I've never bought an emote so quickly in my entire life. But also on the topic of Fortnite, a Marvel leaker has revealed that a live event is due to hit Fortnite on October 5th, related to the new Day of Doom limited time mode that's going on. Dr. Doom is probably going to unleash some evil. I heard that there are some new POIs, which are points of interest, if you guys aren't familiar with the slang terms. So new places to visit, stuff to see, which will be really cool. Also, there's a Marvel Rivals game coming out in December, which is supposed to kind of mimic Overwatch. Most people have probably heard of Marvel Rivals at this point. If this is new to you, then welcome. That's why you're listening and watching our show. But Marvel Rivals is essentially very much like Overwatch. And it's kind of like these very animated characters battling each other. You know, you can mix and match good guys and bad guys, and they all fight together. But Psylocke just got announced along with this massive roster of over 25 characters right now. And Moon Knight got hinted at the end of her trailer, which is pretty exciting. And then lastly, we're getting an Office-inspired video game. I'm not sure what the story is right now, or what the plot of the Office video game is going to be, but it's not going to be on PlayStation. It's not going to be on Xbox. It's going to be virtual reality.
Yeah.
So maybe you can hide a stapler in Jell-O in virtual reality.
Are they?
Or
I'm not gonna play it. Mostly, I don't.
I don't have a
video
Meta
games,
Quest.
but I don't have. I've never even tried virtual reality. I don't think.
Oh, you should.
Are they
over
gonna
sometime.
like use the like the voice actors?
Well, that's
Like
the thing.
actors
Is like
from The Office,
this.
like voice
This
actors?
was an article I just read today. Like this is like someone just found out that we're getting this Office game, and with I mean all there's. I haven't really seen a lot of bad MetaQuest games, so I'm sure this is going to be at least fun for the Office enjoyers, who just happen to have a MetaQuest. But I think the MetaQuest itself is just already too much money, and I can't afford that.
I'm sure that there are dozens of Office Super Office fans there who are willing to
For
drop
sure.
500. I have no clue.
I have
how
no
much that
idea.
costs.
I just know that the more models the MetaQuests go into, the higher the cost goes.
I just assume it's more money than I can afford.
Yeah.
Or would be
That's
reasonable
fair.
for me to spend.
That's fair. I've got a PSVR from like 2020, and that still serves me just fine.
Yeah. All right, we're going to move into Comic Corner, the comic review and anticipation portion of this episode.
Mm-hmm.
First off, we're going to start off with the Creator-Owned comics that came out this week. Something I've been trying to get Grant to read for a long time. And
I just haven't gotten around to it, man.
in a month, the final issue drops, and I'll just drop it.
Also,
at
I
your
was so
house.
busy with Human Target.
Yeah. Helen of Windhorn episode 5 comes out. I've been raving about this a lot. This is the same creative team as Supergirl Woman of Tomorrow. It's just beautiful. It's a beautiful story. It's very like it's very like in terms of emotionally.
Mm-hmm.
You're gonna get that with Tom King, the writer. But I would recommend it if you like this art, which is phenomenal. And the art alone is enough to buy this. Every single, and I've read a lot of comics written, drawn by Bill Quist Everly, but every single issue that this comes out, I was like, oh my gosh, I still cannot believe that she can draw something that beautiful. There's also the Manchurian is it's an Image comic that came out yesterday about a spy thing. It's a kind of like a pilot to see if stuff will go. I got it because I like the artist. It's very interesting. If you're into spy stuff, we don't have enough time like for me to explain exactly what's happening. But if you're into spy stuff, then I would try it. We had Saturday was Batman Day.
Yeah,
we got
a couple of free
there.
Batman comics.
Yeah,
nice.
And there's the end of the long Halloween saga that Jeff Loeb and Tim Sale have been working on. Batman, the last Halloween, right here. Issue number 1 came out yesterday.
I haven't gotten around to that. I've been swamped in schoolwork, so I haven't had time for comic books.
Well, I can also just I can give like the whole thing to you once it's finished. But yeah, if you like the Long Halloween, if you like those, I would definitely recommend it. It's a nice tribute to Tim Sale. His art is missed on this because there's a lot of people trying to replicate his art style, and that's hard to do.
Yeah,
but it's very nice. It's Jeff Loeb is a great writer, and anything he's gonna do that's not the Ultimates or whatever is gonna be great.
Yeah.
There's more Absolute Power tie-ins. The ending of that is next week, and
too many
more
of me to
Absolute Power.
keep track of.
I have unfortunately been keeping track of almost all of them, and they've been great.
That's why you had 10 comic books come in. What, yesterday?
Yeah, well, normally I have 2 come in per week, like 2 or 3 come in per week, but that's just how this October has been. It's been rough.
It's an expensive month to be Jonah.
It's fine. But the Absolute Power Origins has been phenomenal. I think I'm gonna try to get you to read that.
I'll read it. I'll read it.
That written by John Ridley. It's just a phenomenal exploration into the great character that is Amanda Waller. So I would recommend anyone for that. Anyone who and you don't need any context about like what's happening in the DC universe, but if you like Amanda Waller from Justice League Unlimited or the Suicide Squad movie,
or just Suicide Squad if you really loved the 2016 movie,
for some reason, yeah, it's a great origin story into who that character is, and it could easily fit into a move into the James Gunn's version of that character, and it's just written phenomenally.
Yeah.
I would definitely recommend that. There's been a couple X-Men comics come out the past 2 weeks. X-Men came out last week. Uncanny X-Men came out yesterday. They both stayed phenomenal.
No spoilies.
No spoilers because you're going to read that this weekend.
Yeah.
NYX also came out yesterday, and
which I haven't been getting, by the way.
Yes.
Is it good?
Yeah, but you don't know who any of the characters
are. That's
fine. And that is my comic of the week. If you're an X-Men fan, I would pick it up. I would recommend anyone to pick up both Helen Windhorn. But if you're really into X-Men, I think you got to get on NYX. The first issue I really liked. The second issue was pretty good too. Issue number 3, which came out yesterday, blew me away. There were some moments in this that I was like, oh my gosh, this is so beautiful.
Yeah.
It's a great exploration of what these characters in a post-Krakoa, these characters had like a culture and like a society and a nation where they're all together, and then they.
Are you trying to explain Krakoa right now to everyone in like
5 seconds? 5-second version.
Because you had that in one of our previous episode drafts. Grant and Jonah tried to explain Krakoa, and I'm like, that's gonna take a long
there's like
time.
A mutant island nation. No, we're not gonna do that. But that is my comic of the week. It was great. I would recommend NYX if you're into that kind of stuff.
Let's see. I'm still reading. I mean, the comics because I wasn't able to get comics this week. But I am reading Deadpool, and Deadpool's daughter recently took up the mantle, and so she's kicking butt, doing cool stuff. I'm reading Frankenstein still. That's set to be on my pull list for this week. I've got Ultimate Spider-Man number 9.
Which is great.
I actually got that spoiled for me. I heard that he gets his Iron Spider suit. Is that accurate?
I'm not gonna like confirm or deny a comic that came out.
That's fine. And then I don't know. I've got Werewolf by Night because I loved the show. This is maybe like my second or third time just absolutely like salivating over Werewolf by Night. But it's gonna be one of my Halloween movies in rotation for probably the rest of my life. We've got like 6 minutes to spare, so we are
not as many because we have to play ads.
Well, yeah, but I mean, like, we still have like.
Well, we can talk about what's coming up next week.
Absolutely. So,
because
first of all, I have to ask you, and I'm putting you on the spot while we're on air. Have you gotten your tickets yet for Joker?
No. I'll do
what
that.
the heck, man?
Well, you texted me like the showtime that you're taking me, and that we're going to. I'm going with you and your friends.
You gotta get on top of that. I don't know if it's gonna be. I mean, we're going on a Friday night, so like.
What, Friday? I thought we were going to Thursday night.
No, we're going to We're going Friday night, Noblesville.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. So if you want to everyone listening out there, if you guys want to come do a meet and greet at the. No, I'm kidding.
No,
I'm not going to give you our specific theater location.
But next week.
Next week's gonna be fun.
Next week, the conclusion to the Absolute Power event. Is dropping, as well as DC All-In Special number 1, which I'm going to force you to read because it is a new stepping on point for DC Universe.
I just, you know me, I've always been a Marvel guy. I'm not. Don't get me wrong. I love Batman, love Superman. Like DC was a part of my childhood. Like I remember, I had like these cool little, I had like a little Gotham City metropolis in my childhood bedroom. You might remember it actually, back in Lawrence. I had like Superman and Batman up on the walls, and it was like this really cool cityscape that I think I can't remember if it was like a birthday gift for my parents or like a Christmas present, but like I walked in my room because I think it changed from like dinosaurs, or it was just like a plain room, to like this full-on metropolis and like Gotham City, and it was amazing. So like I've grown up and I still love and respect DC. It's just Marvel, like, I mean, we were talking about like the X-Men and the Avengers and, you know, all these characters. It's just like, I know you're slowly getting me back into DC. And so far, there hasn't been a DC comic that you've showed me that I haven't liked.
Yeah.
But also, I fear for my wallet.
Yeah. Well, that's why I'm just like lending you stuff.
Yeah.
You
can
read my
you
copy.
can come to me, and if you're like, Grant, I want to read this comic that's in your library, I'm like, I got you, and I'll do the same to you.
But there's a big there's a big stepping in point. There's gonna be a bunch of new arcs. Next week, the new DC All In Special #1 is the main one. That's a new that's gonna be the context for all of the books coming out, or like for what's happening in the DC universe. So they're creating a new universe that's going to happen in DC All In #1. It's going to be a big flip book. It's probably going to sell out. So try to get there on time. We're of course going to Comics downtown Muncie. There's also going to be Absolute Power number 4, the conclusion of this big event that's been pretty good.
You're going to lose a lot of your talking points. You've talked a lot about Absolute Power since our show started, so it's going to be
and there's going to be a new arc for Birds of Prey.
Right, you love your Birds of Prey.
Birds of Prey number 14. It continues to be great by Kelly Thompson and a myriad of artists. And A Nice House by the Sea, which will probably be my book, which is usually my book of the week when it comes out.
He doesn't shut up about it.
It's so good. It's like the best horror comic I've ever read.
I am interested in reading it.
Nice House on the Lake. Like the first series.
Yeah.
So next week. But next week, the main topic of the episode is going to be the Joker. We're going to be talking about the history of Joker, the history of the Joker, Joker comics we like,
what we expect. We're also going to be facing off. This is just going to be a little teaser. I loved the 2019 Joker movie,
and I really didn't.
And we're going to talk about why I'm right and Jonah's wrong.
Yeah. Sure thing. But we're going to be talking about what we love about that character. This might be the nerd subject of which we disagree on the most. So we're not gonna like shout or anything.
No, I mean we did get very heated over Mephisto though. Like I think if anyone listening enjoyed that, expect more of that next Thursday only on WCRD 91.3 FM.
But we've talked about this before, and we'll keep it respectful. So we'll see you next week. Thank you very much.
All right.
And have a nice week.
All right. Yeah. Peace out, y'all.
Peace out.